Quick question. When's the last time you actually enjoyed your garden instead of feeling guilty about it? Because I know that feeling. You buy the plants with the best intentions. You water religiously for like 10 days. Then life gets busy, and 3 weeks later you're standing over a bed of crispy brown stems, wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You just picked plants that needed more from you than you had to give. So today, I'm giving you 7 perennials built specifically for people who want a beautiful yard without turning it into a part-time job. And plant number 5 on this list is genuinely the one people stop their car for. I'm not exaggerating. Stick around for that one. And if this is useful, subscribe now, because this is exactly the kind of low-effort, high-payoff gardening advice I post every single week. Let's get into it. Plant number 1, hostas. If you've got a shady patch of yard that's basically a dead zone, this plant turns it into the best-looking spot on the property. Hostas are all about the leaves, big, bold, sometimes the size of a dinner plate in deep green, blue-green, golden, or striped combinations of white and green. Some stay compact at 6 inches, others sprawl out to 4 feet and dominate an entire bed. The reason they're perfect for lazy gardeners is simple. They actually want shade, so they thrive exactly where most flowering plants give up. Once they're settled in, they handle dry spells fine, and they get bigger and fuller every year without you doing a thing. The one catch, slugs love them, so if your hostas start looking like Swiss cheese, that's usually the culprit, not you failing at gardening. Hostas are hardy in zones 3 through 9, which covers almost the entire country. If you've got a shady corner you've been ignoring for years, this is your fix. Plant number 2, black-eyed Susan. This flower is basically unkillable, and I say that with confidence. Bright yellow petals, that bold dark brown center, blooming from midsummer clear through fall. You've seen it in ditches and meadows, surviving with zero care, and that's exactly the point. It shrugs off drought, tolerates rough soil, and self-seeds, meaning next year you'll have more plants without spending another dollar. Bees and butterflies show up in droves. You can deadhead it for extra blooms or completely ignore it and it'll still perform. The only real downside is that it's self-seeding, so if you don't want it spreading into nearby beds, keep an eye on it. Black-eyed Susans are hardy in zones 3 through 9, thriving in nearly any climate you throw at them. If you want color with genuinely zero skill required, start here. Now we're already 2 plants deep, and I promise the next one is the toughest thing on this entire list. Keep going. Plant number 3, sedum, sometimes called stone crop. This is a succulent, which means it stores water right in its thick leaves, so drought basically doesn't exist as a concept for this plant. Rocky soil, sandy soil, blazing all-day sun, sedum couldn't care less. The tall variety, Autumn Joy, is the real star. Pale pink buds in late summer that deepen into rose, then shift to a rusty bronze by fall that holds its shape well into winter. It needs almost nothing from you. No fertilizer, no regular watering, no fuss. The only thing that actually kills it is overwatering or soggy soil, so if anything, hold back rather than baby it. Sedum is hardy in zones 3 through 9, with some low varieties surviving even colder. This is the plant for that impossible hot, dry, forgotten corner of your yard. And honestly, plant number 4 might be the one that surprises you the most, because most people walk right past it at the nursery. Plant number 4, creeping phlox. This one gives you more drama for less work than almost anything you can plant. In spring, it explodes into a thick carpet of small flowers, hot pink, magenta, purple, white, so dense you can barely see the foliage underneath. Drape it over a rock wall, a slope, or along a path edge, and it looks like you hired a professional landscaper. Once it's done blooming, it settles into a tidy, evergreen mat that holds soil in place and chokes out weeds for the rest of the year. Maintenance is one light trim after flowering, and that's it. The downside is, it wants good drainage, Sit it in wet, heavy soil and it'll rot. Creeping phlox is hardy in zones 3 through 9, especially spectacular in cooler spring climates. If you've got a slope you don't know what to do with, this is the answer. Plant number 5. Here it is, the one I told you about. Russian sage. It's not actually sage and it's not from Russia, but it might be the most elegant plant you can put in a yard. From midsummer into fall, it sends up tall, airy, silvery stems covered in tiny lavender blue flowers that seem to float and shimmer whenever there's a breeze. It looks like a soft purple haze hovering over your garden. Here's the part that matters for us. It actually performs better when you neglect it. Poor soil, full sun, minimal water, zero fertilizer. Baby it with rich soil and heavy feeding and it gets floppy and loses that elegant shape. It's drought tolerant, deer resistant, and handles heat and wind without complaint. The only real caveat is drainage. Wet feed in winter can kill it. Russian sage is hardy in zones 4 through 9, and it's especially incredible in hot, dry regions where other plants struggle. This is the plant people will ask you about, guaranteed. We're past the halfway mark, and honestly the last two might be my personal favorites on this whole list, so don't check out yet. Plant number 6, lavender. If you've never grown it, this is your sign. Lavender genuinely prefers to be ignored. It wants poor, lean, fast-draining soil, and it does not want to be fertilized or watered constantly. Overwatering is basically the only reliable way to kill it. In return, you get those iconic purple spikes, an incredible fragrance, and a natural mosquito deterrent if you plant it near your patio. Bees adore it, and the dried flowers work in sachets, cooking, even tea. The catch is drainage again. In heavy clay soil or humid climates, it can struggle with rot, so raised beds or containers help. Lavender does best in zones 5 through 9, with English lavender being the hardiest option down into zone 5. If you're someone who forgets to water for 2 weeks at a time, lavender was basically designed for you. Plant number 7, Karl Foerster feather reed grass. I'm ending on this one on purpose because it's the plant that keeps giving all year long. It grows in a neat, upright clump, 4 to 6 feet tall, that never flops or spreads out of control. Feathery green plumes rise in late spring, turn gold by midsummer, then deepen to a warm bronze in fall, and even through winter it stands there swaying and catching the light. Most perennials give you a few weeks of glory and then fade into the background. This one is interesting in every single season. It needs no fertilizer, no staking, and the entire yearly task is one hard cutback in late winter. The only downside is it takes a season or two to really fill out and look full. Karl Foerster is hardy in zones 4 through 9 and performs beautifully whether you're in a cold northern climate or a hot, humid one. If you want height, movement, and something that still looks good in January, this is it. So let's put this together by what you actually need. For shade, hostas are your answer. For brutal sun and drought, lean on sedum, Russian sage, and lavender. For ground cover that kills weeds for you, creeping phlox has you covered. For pollinators and reliable color, black-eyed Susan and lavender do the heavy lifting. And for pure structure and drama that carries into winter, Russian sage and Karl Foerster grass are unmatched. You don't need a green thumb for any of this. You just need to pick plants that were basically built to survive people like us. Grab 2 or 3 off this list, get them in the ground this season, and just picture it for a second. It's a Saturday morning a year from now, coffee still warm in your hand, and instead of walking past your yard feeling guilty, you actually stop and look at it. Real color, real texture. A garden that looks like it's been cared for by someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And the wild part is, it barely took any effort at all. If this helped you out, subscribe now, because I'm putting out exactly this kind of low-effort, high-reward gardening content every single week, and you don't want to miss the next one. Before you go, tell me in the comments which of these 7 you're planting first. I actually read every comment, so let me know. Now go get your hands dirty. You've got everything you need.